Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I am really pleased to welcome back Lee Harris from Blue Marine Travel in New Zealand. How are you, Lee?
Oh, very good. Thanks, Ria. Yourself?
Good, good. As I always say, every morning I wake up is a good one. So,
You did.
and I'm telling you, in 2020, you just never know. The fact that the world is exactly the way that I went to bed in is lovely to wake up in the morning and find it still the same.
And at least the sun's shining for you guys as well, so it's good.
That's right. Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. What's it like there at the moment?
It's not too bad. It's winter, but we're okay. I think we had a beautiful day today, which was good. So we're sitting around about 15, I think, today. So it's a lot better than the UK winters I'm used to, anyway.
Well, that's good. That's good. I guess you can't complain at 15 in the middle of winter.
Not at all. No, it's like, yeah, like I said, it's beautiful.
So tell me, has there been any changes whatsoever in world travel for crew in the last week?
Yeah, it's been a few little bits and pieces, not as much as normal, but there has been a few. I think probably the main one this past week, New Zealand announced that they were putting a temporary hold on any new bookings into New Zealand, and that's for the next 3 weeks. This is to make sure that there is enough space in the managed quarantine facilities. This affects the three major carriers operating into New Zealand, which are currently Air New Zealand, Emirates, and Singapore Airlines. I will just say, though, rest assured, however, anyone who has a ticketed booking, which is to travel within the next 3 week period, they are still okay to travel. They will not be cancelled off. They will still be traveling. But it's just for any new bookings that people try to make that are going to be traveling within the next 3 weeks. So any that have not been ticketed as yet, I think it was from the 7th of July, they won't be able to book anything. The airlines will show blocked out, the seats will be sold out. And it's basically just to allow time for the quarantine numbers to come down because they were getting overwhelmed.
So are they still able to fly out then?
Yeah, flying out, no problem at all. Obviously, because there's not that 14-day quarantine period for people to come out. It is just inbound travellers to New Zealand. Like I said, just because the numbers in quarantine were so high, they were struggling to deal with them all. So they're having this 3 week period where no more bookings are going to be allowed on the respective airlines, and then it will lower the numbers down. My guess is probably going forward after this, similar to the Philippines and New South Wales and Australia, they'll cap the number of passengers they allow in daily, just so they can keep on top of it.
Well, something that we haven't talked about up to this stage is the whole process. We're sort of used to rocking up 2 hours before our flights. Things sort of move very quickly. But I mean, even as we know, going to the grocery store now has become a completely different concept as it used to be. What is the process now? When you have booked your flight, you have everything in place and you're going to the airport. What is the process now for that?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, air travel has changed these last few months significantly, and for anyone now embarking on their first flight post-COVID, they will find that the processes have changed, or there may have been certain things that have been added to it. So what we at Blue Marine Travel would recommend for all travellers would be as follows. So prior to arrival at the airport, if possible, we would suggest that people get a PCR test done no more than 72 hours prior to the flight departure. By no means is this a necessity for some airlines and airports, but obviously as the situation as it currently is, it would be prudent to have this in your possession if possible. Also, most countries' immigration and health authorities require passengers to have a health and travel history record. With that in mind, Blue Marine Travel suggests crew head to www.iata.org. Now, IATA is spelled IATA, and so the website again is www.iata.org. Here you can print off and complete the form that they have on their website. We would suggest that everybody carries this with them when they're travelling, along with their passport and any other essential documentation they may need, i.e. discharge book or yacht crew letters. And then 24 hours prior to departure, we would strongly encourage all crew to check in online for their flights. This then minimises the need for contact when you arrive at the airport, and it also helps support social distancing. What you all need to do after that is to take your bags to the baggage drop zone, and that way you have kept the process contactless. On the day of departure and on arrival at the airport, it is recommended that all crew wear face masks. These will need to be worn for the entire journey, so it will be from entering the airport to the actual flying and then leaving the airport at your destination. We would also encourage all crew to arrive at the airport a minimum of 4 hours before departure. This is to allow for any specific airport or airline requirements prior to travelling, which will most likely include thermal imaging technology or temperature screening. Most airlines are also limiting the hand luggage being taken in the cabin. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but all you're allowed to take at the moment on most airlines is a small bag that will fit under the seat in front of you. So with that in mind, please pack accordingly to save any delays when trying to board your flight. Also, once airside at the airport, we would suggest that crew find a place to get food and drink to take onto the aircraft with them. This is essential, especially for anybody on a long haul flight, purely for the fact that the airlines, obviously trying to adhere to social distancing, are limiting the options of food and beverages during the flight. So it would be wise to make sure you have something on you to avoid a long flight with little to eat and drink. This is something we've heard on numerous occasions now with crew that we've booked who obviously weren't aware that this was in place or was a process. So they're on a 12-hour flight and all they're getting is a sandwich and a drink and that's it. So again, we would strongly recommend that people have something with them or on them so that if that is the case on their flight, they've got something to go back to. Obviously, on arrival at your destination, again, please be ready for further thermal imaging or temperature checks. And also have that IATA passenger locator form we spoke about earlier because the authorities will want to see it. And then finally, make sure to check any respective airline's website for the specific requirements they may have for your travel. In these instances, it's always best to be forewarned.
Well, and it's as you say, I mean, all airlines are not doing exactly the same thing. Every airline seems to be doing their own individual form of social distancing or, limiting of what services they offer. It's not straight across the board.
No, it's not. No, you'll find every airline has their slight nuances between them all. Some are keeping the middle seat empty. Some are now just getting people in as much as they possibly can. So yeah, every airline is different. So it is imperative that all crew check the airline's websites, and not only the airline, maybe also check the airport website as well.
Where airports have different rules as well then?
That they may well have with regards to the screening or where the baggage drop places may now be. There'll be slight differences to what people are used to, purely to try and stick to the social distancing, and also to try to keep things as contactless as possible.
Well, and I can imagine as well that it depends on the country that you're flying into.
Yes, for sure. I mean, some are obviously stricter than others. That's for definite. But yeah, I mean, you just need to just like I said, be forewarned for your travel. Know exactly what's going to be expected of you at the airport you're arriving in. Even the airport that you're going to be departing from. You need to have all the information. As long as you've got that, then you shouldn't really have any problems.
Well, and I think going forward, gone are the days that we can rock up 2 hours before our flight and expect to get on. That is not going to come back anytime in the next year, 2 years.
No, I don't think. I think you're entirely right. I think until a vaccine is found, you're going to be at the airport a lot longer than you are used to. That's for sure.
Wonderful. Well, Lucy, thank you very, very much for coming on board with us here. And we're going to have you again next week because things are changing all the time, not necessarily just, how countries are operating, but what people need to expect when they arrive at the airports. It's as you said, every airline is different, every airport is different, and it's nice to be able to keep up to date, especially now that crew are managing to travel around and get to their vessels.
No problem at all. Like I said, I'm always happy to come on. I have actually just got one last little bit, if that's okay, Ria. In regards to the Caribbean, because I know there's still some yachts out there and some crews still out there. There has been a little bit of news this week, whether it helps the guys or not. So from the 10th of July, Aruba are allowing flights to and from the United States. So this may help some who need to island hop to get themselves home. This will include a daily service between New York with JetBlue, and American Airlines will also have a daily service to and from Miami. And also with regards to the Caribbean, Caribbean Airlines have also announced the resumption of a daily service between Kingston and New York, with further flights to and from Toronto and Miami scheduled on select days during the week.
Wow. Okay. So things are moving a little bit quicker than the last few times we spoke.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot more places are opening up now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the crew are starting to see that as well. Obviously, we've still got the areas which are incredibly tricky, i.e. South Africa. Nepal is still notoriously difficult, and in India as well. But fingers crossed, hopefully we should see some movement on that soon as well.
Well, I'm sure you're going to keep us up to date, and we'll make sure to bring it to all the crew out there. Once again, Lee Harris from Blue Marine Travel, thank you so much. We're going to provide that link for the health document that you mentioned in the interview underneath this interview. So any crew that is traveling, please do check out that link and fill that out so that you're at least that prepared. It's the best we can do at this stage. Yeah. Once again, you've been watching another edition of Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I have been your host. Tune in again for another episode.